Let me begin this one by a week ago when I was beginning to research about this particular topic so that I can decide what to speak. I went to Google and I just typed in a phrase which is exactly what is the topic of today, and I said let me begin my research with careers in entrepreneurship and innovation. And this is what I got. All of you are perhaps in a position to see this. Um, I was surprised to look at certain things that, on the Google search. This is the first thing that popped up on Google search. And what took me by surprise was this, that there are jobs that people are looking at in terms of career in terms of entrepreneurship. And there are very unique job titles, like you have new venture developers, fundraisers, and so on. But at the end of the day, I was a little bit taken aback, because once you are in the field of entrepreneurship, it is, it is unlikely that you would look at something like a job, but you would like to try something on your own or do something like that. And as I was mulling over this, there are other results that came through in the bottom of the screen. And then I started looking through, expecting that, somewhere in the first or the second or the third page, I will find out something related to the career of an entrepreneur, and what is the career path, and how does an innovator work, and so on and so forth. But I was very disappointed that most of the search related items are related to jobs. And that was something that set me thinking as to why is it that there is a shortage of or why does Google think this is relevant. Like, somebody who is looking for a career in entrepreneurship, they are probably guiding them to jobs after doing your MSc in entrepreneurship or MS in entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. So my task became slightly difficult. So I had to go through and see what I can do, because there is no perhaps there is not enough research material around this on the web. At least that's what I got from Google. So I put together a presentation out of my own experiences and learning in terms of entrepreneurship in the last few years. So that is something that I did, and this presentation is a result of that. And let me very quickly begin by, just give me a second, please. Yeah, let me quickly begin with a saying that that I got in mind. I heard from somewhere, which says that your salary is the bribe that your company pays you to forget your dreams. I don't intend to make that make jobs a very petty thing, or it's a small thing, and so on and so forth. But what happens when you are doing a job is that you are bound by the framework of the responsibilities and accountabilities your organization expects you to commit to, and that makes the entire thing a little bit restrictive. For example, as a teacher, I used to really love, and I used to really look forward for teaching new subjects and learning something new and learning something relevant which the market is looking for. And most of the times I wouldn't be in a position to talk about this or make sure that this is working, and so on and so forth, because there is a restriction that is placed in terms of what I can teach in the class, what I can share with the student, and so on and so forth. Can I sorry, I have a small network related issue. I will be on mute for a second or so, so I'll come back on that once again. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Hello. Am I audible? All right, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I just had some network issue. I had to sort that out. Um, all right, so what I was telling was that most of the times when you are working within the framework of an organization, the organization has certain restrictions on you in terms of your accountabilities and responsibilities, and what you dream of may not be possible to be done within that particular framework. And that is something that is one of the reasons what pushed me towards entrepreneurship, because my passion was different and what I'm doing in my job was different. But there are definitely jobs that will allow you to do what you want to do, and there is a lot of scope. So I'm not saying that jobs are bad, but then when you are within the restrictive framework of an organization, it is sometimes not possible for you to pursue your dreams. So therefore, an individual is probably not living their life to the fullest when they are doing their jobs. That's the intention. But there are definitely a lot of people who are happy with their jobs, who excel in whatever jobs that they are trying to do. And this is not to put entrepreneurship on a higher pedestal compared to that of a job. This is not a comparison, but this is insight into for people who have passions and dreams that are apart from their jobs. The salaries that they get are the bribes that your company pays you to forget your dreams. So having said that, let me pass on to the next set of things that I looked at to understand how a career path looks like for an entrepreneur or an innovator. I came across, or I collated, three different examples, and all the three of these examples is probably something that you will relate to and you already know about. But I want to focus specifically on the career paths of these three people and explain and understand how can we build a career path? Can we look at how does a career of an innovator look like? All of us have heard about Thomas Alva Edison, inventor of the electric bulb. Of course, there are many controversies who say he did not do it, somebody else did it, etc. Let's not get into that and stick to the fact for this as an example, for this talk as an example, that Alva Edison actually invented the electric bulb. Now, after inventing the electric bulb, Edison could have gone on, he had patented it and it was a very good technology. Edison could have gone on and for the next innovation and so on. But before he did, he formed a company called Edison Electric Company. And this company used to install electric bulbs in the homes of people who wanted light in their homes. Now, today, electricity is a given fact. Today, it is, all of us have lights and, things at home and so on and so forth. And it is a given fact. But when Edison was doing this in the 19th century, electrification had not yet started. So Edison used to, for the installation, and one of the Edison's vision was to make sure that electric bulbs were there to dispel the darkness of the night everywhere, and that was one of his missions. And he started and later his company was he merged his company with two other companies, and they all became what we today known as General Electric Company. And it also, this company has grown in leaps and bounds. It's a huge multinational today. We have 100+ year history of General Electric Company, and they diversified into many other areas apart from making electrical equipment and so on. But what propelled Edison to make sure that he started this company? Why he did not simply say, okay, I've patented this, let me go and invent some other thing? Of course, Edison invented other things, but his incandescent bulb, the electric bulb, was one of the major innovations that changed the way things were at that point of time. Now, before this bulb was invented, and before Edison made this into a household item where everybody could purchase a bulb, the way the world worked was very different. And once the electricity started coming in, and once people started electrification, government started electrification, and offices started working late hours, the whole world completely changed. That is the lesson that we need to remember and take away here. The way things were done before Edison's electric bulb and the way things were done after the electric bulb was invented by Edison was largely different. Just imagine you don't have power and you just have to make do with maybe candles or something like that, how difficult would it be? I mean, we can't even imagine such kind of a world today. So even when we are looking at, even when we are thinking of in the mornings when, you know, we want to power our laptops, batteries, just imagine how difficult you would feel or how agitated you will feel if your mobile phone charge is going away and you don't find a charging point. I know that, you know, a lot of us feel anxious and we start looking for charging. That's the kind of thing we have today. But imagine those days when electric bulb itself was not there, and at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening when it is pitch dark outside, you stop working, you stop studying, or maybe you make do with whatever little light that you have. There are dangerous things that will happen during that time, and so on and so forth, so many things. But as soon as this light bulb came into picture and Edison started taking this to the households of people and started installing these devices, this new innovation of his in people's homes, things worked very differently. So we remember Edison not only because that he created something unique which worked, but he took that technology and he made it available to common people. And when common people realized that value, he served them through his enterprise. So Thomas Alva Edison's company, whether it was Edison Electric earlier and General Electric now, is created not only because there was demand for that particular product, but it was also a change agent which brought change in the society as such. So this is the first example that I thought I should share with you. The second example I wanted to look at was Sabir Bhatia, and all of us know Hotmail. And Sabir Bhatia was the one who created Hotmail. Let me tell certain things about, the times in which Sabir Bhatia worked and the way Sabir Bhatia also worked in SAP. Sabir Bhatia was working with a software development company. He had a very good career. He was in internet technologies. He knew how to write some programs and so on. But Bhatia was not very happy with his job. He wanted to do something bigger, something better, work on cutting edge technology. And no matter how much he tried, his job was not allowing him to work on such kind of a thing. So as a result, Sabir Bhatia was very frustrated and he was not a happy person. So at that time, internet was just emerging. I wouldn't say Sabir Bhatia invented email. No, email existed before Sabir Bhatia, but it was a paid service and it was within the domain of a few internet service providers, and it was not within the reach of common people like you and me. Today, email is a given for every one of us. We have Google's email, we use Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, and whatever other mail engines are there, Rediff Mail. We use all of them, and they are all free accounts for us. And if we don't have an email account, then it is difficult to communicate with others and to exchange with others. So much so that today, email has become a formal communication mechanism, even for government and private organizations alike. So this was not the case when Sabir Bhatia started writing the code for creating a free email service. Everybody said, are you doing this for free? Are you crazy? How will you make money out of this? And so on and so forth. But Bhatia had the conviction that if you make available an email service like this for a large number of users, then somehow we can build revenue models around that. So Sabir Bhatia was the one who said, we can sell the email services. The basic services can be free for all people to use. And if people want to use specific services which they want to in their email, then probably it is possible for them to create more for them and so on. So for corporate accounts, it could be a paid service, and you could have more features which are built into the. That was what Sabir Bhatia figured out. And since his job was not doing very well, he tried for a few days to develop this email along with his job, but it did not work out for him. So Sabir Bhatia gave up a lucrative job in pursuit of an idea which nobody believed was going to fetch anything, and people said doom. People started saying dooms, and as soon as, let me tell you what happened the day Sabir Bhatia launched his Hotmail, and they launched the mail. They completed the entire software which would be hosted. They hosted it on the internet, and they started putting the information out in their circles and saying that there's a free email account, please sign up, and so on and so forth. And the first day of their innovation, there were about 1,000 users who signed up, and within the next 1 week, people started lapping up Hotmail because it was a free email service. And what happened because of that is common people like you and me who did not have the capability to pay and do the email started getting email services, and they use these emails to communicate between each other, to keep in touch with each other, and the whole of the globe suddenly shrunk, and a lot of value was created because of this simple free tool which Sabir Bhatia created. The story is that Microsoft came forward and bought Hotmail from Sabir Bhatia for $500 million. Now, the creation of such kind of wealth was possible because Sabir Bhatia had the conviction inside him that what he was going to do was good, and somehow there will be value add for this. Though it was offered free of cost to people, there are some other ways and means by which you can make money out of this. That was what was there in Sabir Bhatia's mind. And later Bhatia also tried a few things, did not work very well for him, but Hotmail, the free email services that we are using today, is the gift of Sabir Bhatia to the entire world. I mean, that is something that we should really appreciate when we are looking at Sabir Bhatia. So if Edison changed the world in a certain way, Sabir Bhatia changed the world in a slightly different way. The internet became the modus of communication, the default mode of communication across the entire globe, because Sabir Bhatia offered this as a free tool for people to use. And that is the gift that he has given us, and we should remember him for that. And the third person whom I looked at in this context was Jimmy Wales. And Jimmy Wales is, all of us know Wikipedia, and anything that you type today, Wikipedia is one of the top websites that comes in search because the content is huge. It has got billions of web pages today. It has got terabytes of information, and it is a default referral directory for many people today. But when Jimmy Wales started working on this Wikipedia, it was supposed to be the internet community, again, it was just growing at that time, and information that was presented on internet was supposed to be not very authentic, and because anybody can write anything on the internet. And today we know, because of fake news and so on and so forth, there is a lot of hangama around. We all have seen also Drone Pratap, whatever he did, because some social media sites started carrying his news and so on. So at that time also the same problem existed, that whenever you presented something valuable or knowledgeable on the internet, it was not considered to be authentic. It was not considered to be true and real information, because nobody would verify that, and it is not verified, and so on and so forth. So Jimmy Wales, when he created Wikipedia, he also started with a small team, and they used to write the content and send it to professors in the university who would verify that, and then they would come back. And he felt this was a very tedious process. So what Jimmy Wales did was, he created a community-based platform where people like you and me could contribute to the information, and we and some others in the community could also verify if that information was true. And if it is true, they could edit that information, remove whatever is a false information, and so on. Now, this concept was at that time very revolutionary, because it showed people that communities and groups of people who are ordinary people, not very knowledgeable professors, not highly knowledgeable people, but ordinary groups of people can come together and work together to create the world's largest information base that is authentic and that can be trusted and believed in. Today, Wikipedia, though it is not an accepted research reference, but for common people, the information present on Wikipedia is profound enough, and it is it gave high degree of competition to the Encyclopedia Britannica, which was the default encyclopedia that was very valuable, and the publishing industry as such drastically changed once Wikipedia started working. Just imagine that, I mean, Jimmy Wales would open this. It's a free platform. He would go and talk about this, how to create this platform, how his processes work, and so on and so forth. And he used to educate other people to create knowledge bases. And today, any knowledge base, we call them as a wiki, right? So it is a name that we have got from Jimmy Wales's contribution. And what Jimmy Wales, through his entrepreneurial efforts, showed us is that communities of people, groups of people like you and me can together create something which is hugely valuable, and we are the producers of the information and we are also the consumers of the information. So this is something which is Jimmy Wales's contribution, and the publishing industry specifically completely changed with the, once Wikipedia became popular and it was gone. And even today, Jimmy Wales keeps Wikipedia free of cost. We can use it. And he works through donations, and he works through other modes of making sure that his company runs and his employees are paid, and so on and so forth. And Jimmy Wales is also sometimes made fun of as the poorest internet entrepreneurs. And he has some millions of dollars in his account. There is no doubt about that. But he is considered to be the poorest among the internet enterprises. And Jimmy Wales is not bothered about it. He says that it's all right. I mean, I may be the poorest of entrepreneurs. That doesn't matter. But I changed the way the world is working, and I changed the way that information technology industry is working, and so on. So these are the three entrepreneurs that I thought I should share information with, majorly because of their the changes that they have brought in the world. Edison because of his electric bulb, SABIR Bhatia because of his free email, and Jimmy Wales because of his free Wikipedia knowledge base and his ability to put together a community of people, and they producing authentic and reliable information which can be used as a reference by the general public. So these are the three people whom I thought. So what I did was, I also went back and looked at their lives, and I started seeing, okay, what did they do in their life? So who was Jimmy Wales? Who was Sabir Bhatia? Where did they grow, and what did they study, and so on and so forth. And out of my, and there were other entrepreneurs as well whom I knew. So I started looking at their lifelines, and then I came up with the what I would call as the 6 steps in the innovation of an innovator's career. How do these 6 steps are essential in the career of an innovator, and this is what happens. One of the things which is common between Edison, Sabir Bhatia, as well as Jimmy Wales was they spent their time discovering their passion. A lot of us don't even think about our passions. We get carried away by the routines of life and whatever it is, but there is that creative spark in each one of us. There is that passion. There is something that we really, really love to do. For some of us, it could be art. For some of us, it could be comedy. For some of us, it could be engineering and building things. For some of us, it could be something else. So each of these people, each of those people who changed the world literally, through their contributions, were very clear about what their passion was. And they spent a lot of time in learning about what they are passionate about. For example, Jimmy Wales learned a lot about how he can make sure that a reliable community can be built. So he went, and there was no book that he has to read for this. He had to go and find out how a good community is and how those good communities can be built. So he went to churches and he spoke to people and he said, how can you build this? And Sabir Bhatia had to learn internet programming, and he had to learn how a reliable email server can be built up and where it can be hosted, how much it would cost, and to write a business plan and so on. And Edison, we all of us know, had to really go through 10,000 iterations before he came up with a reliable technology of an electric bulb, which can be installed even as a household item. So the first 2 steps are discovery of a passion and then spending time in learning what we need to learn. And when we do that, that is when we are very clear, okay, this is what is my call in my life. This is what I want to do in my life. Like I said earlier, I want to teach new courses. I want to share new knowledge. I want to discover something new almost on a daily basis. That's what my passion is. And if I have to do that, if I have to create a new course, I have to learn how to do that. And once you do this, then at one point of time, you would begin creating a certain idea, right? And it would just land on you. Okay, this is one of the projects that I would want to do. The same thing before doing Hotmail, Sabir Bhatia had several ideas. I can do this, I can do that, because of his passion for internet, and he is learning how to do the programming on internet. There were several things that he thought of, but at the end of the day, he chose one particular idea and then converted that idea into a product or service. And that these two phases, phase 3 and 4, are really, really difficult phases. You can explore your passion, you can learn, that will give you a lot of satisfaction, but to create an idea which has a demand in the market and to create a product or service out of that is really, really where your entrepreneurship skills would come into focus. And once you do that, you create an enterprise. For example, another example which I did not take at that time was Apple computers, and Steve Wozniak, not Steve Jobs, but Steve Wozniak was the one who built the first Mac computer. So what he did was, at a very early age, Steve used to play with a lot of electronic gadgets, and he discovered that he was very passionate about building electronic gadgets, and that led him to his passion. And he used to work in a company called HP, Hewlett Packard, and he used to build calculators for them. And he also used, because his job fit him okay, because he used to work with electronics and he used to build calculators, but he wanted to do something more. So he used to go and attend lectures about computers and how they created and so on. And he started learning to do that. And while doing his job, he built his first prototype of the Macintosh computer, which we know as Mac today. And that was the beginning. And just now, learning about electronics, building something as a side project is a different thing than creating a product and selling it. And then along with Steve Jobs, both of them, they joined hands together and created an enterprise which sold Apple computers to others. And then that was also the idea. I mean, the Apple computers idea was that a computer should be there in every single home. And so, like Edison, these people took that to every home and they started giving it away. And that is how they created they were participating in the computer or the IT revolution by doing that. And that enterprise has to be profitable. When I say profitable, I don't mean in all the time in a commercial way. That enterprise has to reach its goals and create wealth for people, like for either Jimmy Wales or for Sabir Bhatia or for Edison. The wealth was created, and wealth does not mean money for your daily life. Wealth means a lot. Wealth means capital. You have capital, you can invest in other businesses, or you can give it away to people. Wealth means the ability to do certain things, like which people were not able to do earlier. So with the creations, an innovator, when he creates something, it is we must remember that he or she would be in a position to share and distribute a lot of wealth around this thing, like in terms of job creation, like in terms of the going public, and making people share their selling shares on the share or stock market. There are many things that in which wealth can be created and distributed. So I think one of the very important lessons that we should take away from the careers of these innovators is there are 6 steps. And if you ask me, sir, what are the time that it takes? Like when can I discover my passion? Like there are people who discovered they are passionate about something at the age of 60 or 65. For example, KFC's owner started, Kentucky Fried Chicken at the age of 65. It took him, he did all his job, whatever he did, and he still was not. It took him so much time to discover what his passion was and that he could create wealth out of his passion. And when he started off doing that, he not only created wealth for himself, he created jobs for others, he created wealth for his entire country and other countries as well. So these steps are really, really crucial, and they are very important. So my request to you, those who are listening to this lecture today, is spend time in discovering your passion and learn all you can about your passion, right? And then someday you will have an idea, you will be in a position to create a product or service out of that, and then look at creating an enterprise around it, and share your wealth, make that enterprise bigger and larger so that it changes the world, and so on and so forth. Now, let me just look into the current situation and see if I can throw some light on some opportunities which people are exploring right now and what it contains, and so on and so forth. Now, for the post-COVID world, entrepreneurship is the only solution, because I strongly believe that it is only the entrepreneurs who can really who can really make sure that the post-COVID world is going to be profitable and it works for everybody. Now, why do I feel this? Let me explain to you in a short while. Now, entrepreneurs are resource optimizers. That it means that they work with existing resources. And in the post-COVID world, we know we have a resource crunch. We have a resource crunch in terms of labor. We have resource crunch in terms of capital. We have resource crunch in many different areas. And entrepreneurs are resource optimizers. They make do with the existing available resources, and they create value out of those resources. Like Sony companies, they started. When Sony started, they started during the World War II, and they built radios. How did they build radios? There were no spare parts. Japan was totally devastated. So they went from rubble to rubble, and they collected all the parts that they required for building a radio. Maybe there were some old radios which they bought. They just went into trouble, got the metal required, and then they built. So they are resource optimizers. They make do with the existing resources and create great value. And one of the reasons why we require entrepreneurship in the post-COVID world is this. And second thing is they are problem solvers. Today there are so many consumption problems. For example, workers are very afraid to come back home, come back to work, because if they catch hold of if they catch hold of COVID, there is no bed available, there is no treatment, and they can't afford lakhs and millions of rupees. So what would they do? And another problem, we have to find out a vaccine, and that vaccine has to be given to billions of people across the world, and it is going to take time. So these are problems. And then we have the regular problems like the climate change problem that we are going through, the pollution that we are seeing, traffic problem in Bangalore, and hundreds of other things that are there. And these problems can be solved by thinking innovatively and creating solutions out of that. So entrepreneurs are resource optimizers and problem solvers. And entrepreneurs, and these two reasons are the strongest reason I believe that entrepreneurship has great opportunity in the post-COVID world. One of the things that I read, this is from my alma mater. One of my seniors in college from SK University, where I did my MBA, his daughter started this initiative called, which is a community of tailors. I have a hyperlink here. I can click this, and perhaps I can share that screen. Just give me a minute. I hope you can see my browser window now. Can you see my browser window? Please say yes in the chat box so that I know you're seeing my browser window. Superb. So this is a news article that was carried out some time back with tailors losing their livelihood due to the pandemic. An engineering graduate, she is the daughter, her name is, I think, Nikhila Reddy, which is written here. She is the daughter of my senior in college, and she started this venture where she is building a community of tailors, which, where she is showcasing their work, and she's getting customers for them, and a lot of tailors are there with him. She's networking with a group of buyers and sellers and creating market opportunities where it did not exist earlier. So now, when you start this kind of an enterprise, it is not world-changing enterprise, but it changes the way people are looking at things, and it changes the way tailors are thinking. It changes the way you and me are thinking about buying our clothes, and perhaps we could approach this community of people for some special works or special occasions. Perhaps we can buy our regular clothes with them, and so on and so forth. And a lot of us do have problems about fitment and so on and so forth. So this may lead to a lot of different aspects. So basically, when you look at how you can propel business to grow in the post-COVID world, it is possible for you to think as an entrepreneur, use your engineering skill and solve a particular consumption related problem so that it adds value to all the people whom you are looking at. Let me go back to my presentation screen and share that. I have a couple of more ideas and then I will stop after discussing these ideas. One of the things is COVID health insurance. There is at the moment, no reliable player in the market who is offering health insurance, especially for the construction workers and the workers at the lower rung. And if we are able to provide health insurance at a affordable premium for this lower rung of workers, it would be possible for them to return back to work. And this is not going to go away in a short time. I think for the next 1 or 2 years, this insurance is really, really handy, and somebody should be in a position to work on that. So that is something which we must think of. That's another opportunity. Virus-free packaging. We are all afraid of what is there to bring things into our home. So I go outside and I bring a package of medicine. I literally make sure that I dip that in the sanitizer and clean it off before I use it. I remove the packaging and throw it all out because I'm afraid that there is a virus in that. Supposing we can devise something which is a virus-free packaging, there is the virus doesn't survive on that packaging for long. This is not going to be only for today, but this is going to revolutionize the world for a long period to come. So if we are able to develop an affordable packaging mechanism which is virus-free, I don't think it is impossible. I know biomedical engineers would be in a position to really contribute towards building such kind of packaging. And once we have that, packaging solutions become much more, I would say, much more robust, and commerce and trade will pick up quite soon. Virtual buyer and seller meet, like for example, the community of tailors that I just spoke about. A lot of organizations are bringing buyers and sellers together. Just imagine the educational industry itself. For example, I want to invest in a learning management system where a part of my teaching goes online. A lot of institutions are considering that a part of their learning can now be put online because of the experimentation that they did. So which is the best learning management system available? People are really not aware. Supposing I, as an entrepreneur, can bring certain sellers together, providers of learning management solutions who really have good solutions, affordable solutions for buyers, and bring a lot of buyers together virtually, maybe using Zoom or some other platform, maybe GeoMeet or whatever it is if we are patriotic Indians and so on. So if we put them together, it becomes possible for people to gain value out of that. So both buyers who want products and sellers who are looking for products, it's possible for us to make them meet and derive value out of the entire thing. For the next couple of years, sanitization of public spaces, specifically malls, theaters, parks, where people go out for recreation, is going to be a continuous effort. Without the sanitization, people won't go to these public places because they are afraid of the virus and they just don't want to look at. So services related to sanitization of public spaces, the more easier you make it for people using technology, the better, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the areas that I thought would be possible areas of entrepreneurship. And I think that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Really, thank you for the opportunity. And if there are any questions, I'm open to take those questions now.
We are going to be keeping the session open for questions. So if any of the participants have any questions for Rajesh sir, you can ask your questions.
You can also use the chat box in case you want to ask questions there. You have an audio trouble or something like that. I'm having the chat box open. Yeah, thank you, Soumya. You're most welcome. It was a pleasure interacting here as well.
Participants, you can either drop your questions in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and you can ask the questions to Rajesh sir. Any questions with relation to the topics that sir has covered today, you can speak to sir about that. There's one question for you.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any financial assistance given by government to those who are willing to go with the new venture? Yeah, I think a lot of things are available as in terms of financial assistance. There are incubators that are available which allow you to incubate your product or service, and there are grants that are available from entrepreneurship cells, both from state and central government, and they will be giving you these grants to develop your product prototype and perhaps commercialize later on. A grant, unlike a loan, is something that you can use, but you don't have to return it back. It is given to you in the interest of your ability, in the interest of developing you as an entrepreneur. And banks have a lot of loan schemes that are available. But if you are manufacturing something, it is slightly easier to get those loans. But you really have to go through a lot of iterations with the bank, because banks are afraid that it may turn into an NPA, and with whatever is going on in the financial system now, it is really a little difficult to get entrepreneurship-based loan, even though there are government schemes supporting that. So iterations will be there, and if you are able to convince a banker that you have a good product on hand, I'm sure you'll land up with financial assistance. I hope that answers your question, Soumya. Okay, so Dr. Badiuddin Ahmad asks us, what would be your message to fresh MBS? Can they take initiative to venture into entrepreneurship? Okay. Oh, that is, I think, see, if you are in the first year of your engineering, or any 4 years of your engineering, or if you are in the first or second year of your MBA, I am 100% sure that you should try an entrepreneurial venture. If you are not, because you are at the lowest risk point when you are at this particular phase. What your college requires as a, for you to do like submission of your assignments and tests, I'm sure with about 20 years of your prior experience in writing exams and submitting assignments, you can manage that very well. But you should try entrepreneurship venture, because you will learn a lot of things around that. And at that instance of time, even if something is not there, then you can still go back and put this in your resume as what you tried and what you learned, and you can still get a job. Even though, let us say you are in the final year, fourth semester, even now it is the time I think you should try something, because at least for another 1 or 2 years, it is possible for you to get and land a decent job. Job can be gotten. It is not that very difficult to get into a job. If you want to try, I think while you are in the education, while you are studying and learning something, that's the best time to try. But you have to burn some midnight oil, you have to go the extra mile. And if you do that, there is a ton of learning awaiting you. And even if you do a job later in your life, and you discover that this entrepreneurship is not your game or whatever it is, then jobs will be available for you. So don't worry about getting a job. Don't worry about how it would land and so on and so forth. Get rid of the stigma, start something very, very simple. There are some simple things that you can start. You can volunteer for a non-profit organization and organize a fundraising thing for them. There are hundreds of things that you can do as a fresher, as a person who is still pursuing his career, and all your trials will be taken as your effort in learning something, and that's the advantage that you have. So you don't have to really worry about anything. And if you are in the first final year MBA, I think you should go for that. Including fresh MBAs, you should go for starting something so that you can learn firsthand how you can create wealth and so on. So, I hope I have answered your question, Dr. Ahmed.
Participants, any other questions? Okay, there's one more question, sir.
Yeah, I am seeing that, sir. Dr. Ahmed, entrepreneurship can be, as a subject, we can give knowledge, but it is good to know how to make a business plan. It is really awesome to study existing entrepreneurs, how they solve problems and solutions. But unless you create your venture and you experience entrepreneurship firsthand, it is really difficult to give a taste of entrepreneurship at all. Yeah, it can be taught at whichever level. I think entrepreneurship can be taught to 10-year-olds, 13-year-olds to show them how they can contribute, how they can create products and services and so on. So teaching wise, there is no problem. Enough material is available, enough courses are available, enough curriculum based stuff is available. So it can be taught. But the point is, knowledge wise, it is really good to learn. Knowledge wise, it is really very interesting to look at SABIR Bhatia or Jimmy Wales or Steve Jobs or Steve Wozniak. But unless you try it, unless you really bring a product to life and you really make it a product which is in demand in the marketplace on a smaller or a larger scale, whichever scale, the taste of entrepreneurship cannot be given. So practice is one of the most essential things. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Doctor. This is another question I'm supplementing to this one, sir.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm audible, sir?
Yes, yes, you are, sir.
Think that I am working for a Central University in Hyderabad, and our students, because we have a Urdu medium bag, as our mandate to teach both BBA and MBA, we have become an MCOM. What I found them, because we get all the stuff from the Bihar, UP, other thing, they have a lot of, when we advise them to go, their own apprehensions, or not. So what do you suggest? Can we have sort of, entrepreneur?
Can you repeat that? What are they apprehensive about?
They got the, will we get into the market? Will we get the after how to get into the entrepreneurial activity, and what is that future we have, that can we really sustain with that entrepreneurial activity? So their all minds are job. That's all they're going for. IT jobs. After having been MBA finance, MBA marketing, MBA HR, and they lot of learn everything, and they have practical training of 4 weeks also. They go to industries, but still they do not have the inclination towards entrepreneurship, which we are insisting. We are calling the expert from industry also. They also say, what is that lacking? I'm not able to get myself. So what do you suggest? How could we mold them to move towards the entrepreneurial side? Because you, as you rightly said, I was hearing you that a lot of opportunities. You have given good examples. So how to mold them, because people from their underprivileged community coming to us, and they have very good sharp minds, but the inclination is for only job.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, somehow in our country, this is not only in Hyderabad or in 1 or 2 places, but this is a common mindset across. Let me share a personal experience with you. I was working as the head of the department for a very reputed B school here in Bangalore, and and as a part of this, my passion was entrepreneurship. So I used to mentor a few people, engineering students. So there were a couple of students who came and said, we want to start this venture. I felt that that was a good idea to mentor them. And I worked with them for about 6 months or so. And, at one of the points of time, they all come back and tell me that, we are about to launch the entire venture. And they come back and tell me, sir, my parents did not agree. So I was like, what is it that I did for 6 months, sitting with them? So unfortunately, that is the case. The students would be interested, they would show, but there are many people around them who would think of this as an unnecessary risk. There is a job somewhere, go do the job and look at it. Now,
Yeah, right.
what I would suggest is that not everybody will have the conviction to go back and talk to parents. So I continue to mentor a lot of people, and the first thing that I do is ask the people who come to me for entrepreneurship to go and have a open conversation with parents, because if you can convince your parents that you're going to take entrepreneurship as your career, as something that you are going to be involved in for a lifetime, then there is no stopping you at all. Even if the whole world goes away from you, then that support from your family is one of the major and most important aspects. And it is valid also. It is not that you should not do that. So as a part of my mentoring, I coach people to talk to their parents to see how the parents would respond. And I know that there are great many difficulties. They would be angry maybe, or they would think of it as a risk, and they have 100 questions. And it is important for an entrepreneur to answer all those 100 questions which they raise, because once they can answer those questions, they are very sure of convincing anybody in the world to about their product or service or about their enterprise itself. So that is something I think is a part of entrepreneurship course. We should tell people, like, if you are really interested in starting out on a venture, the first thing that you should tackle is your family. You can go ahead, sir, you can be a revolutionary and start something on your own without your support of the family, but then you will fight two battles. One battle in the market. After coming back, you are going to share your difficulty at home. People will say, I told you not to get into all this, and then it demotivates you further. It doesn't work that way. So one of the most important things, especially in India or countries which have similar kind of backgrounds as India, is the coaching that we must include in terms of convincing parents that this is what is so. And I speak to parents also sometimes when they say, come back and, sir, is this really good? Can my child do it? What are the risks involved in that? And why are you encouraging? All these kind of questions we have to answer, sir. Yes. And it is a slow process. It will take time. So we can't do this overnight, and we have to build it brick by brick. But what I should say is 10 years ago when I used to do this to now, I think parents are more open-minded and they are allowing their children to do more of these things and so on. So I am expecting that change will come in a short while. So, but we have to be patient about it.
Sir, could you share please your contact number or something like I could contact you, because right now it is a closing. We are opening on 4th of August, and we
Right,
students are coming likely to be in, because we have exams from 17th of August. We are conducting online and offline. So
right,
I'd like to have one seminar with you.
Okay, sir.
Because
definitely. So I have put my email ID and number in the chat box. So you can connect with me either through email or through my phone number. Not a problem at all.
You are from which place, sir?
I'm from Bangalore, sir.
Bangalore, so not a big issue. I'll contact you, sir. Thank you so much for your kind answer, and I got really satisfaction with your replies. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. And Soumya, you wanted to know more about social entrepreneurship. I would definitely suggest you look up Jimmy Wales and Wikipedia. That's a social enterprise. It is not a for-profit enterprise. It's a non-profit enterprise. So you can look up Jimmy Wales, and it's going to be an awesome case study for you to know everything that you have to know about a social enterprise, right? From fundraising to employing people to running an enterprise and so on and so forth, a lot of stuff. There is another question by Skanda Kumar, sir. The young creative minds and the innovators are affected in the first stage because of the negative talks from his or her primary circle like family and friends. What do you think? Yeah, that is true. But, the point is that you need to find your way out. And definitely there is a lot of stigma around, entrepreneurship. And people still want their children to go in the formal educational path and so on. And as I said earlier, it is important to answer all their questions. You must be in a position to answer questions raised by family and friends because they are concerned about you. They don't raise their questions with everybody. They are family and they are friends, and they care and about you. They may have a doubt whether you can do it or not, and they are bothered. If you fail, then what will happen to you? It's not about anything else. So if you are in a position to give answers to their questions and listen to their questions in the first place, and think about the validity of those questions and not be impatient with them and be patient, I think these are the people who will propel you when you need them, and when you need them. And trust me, you will need all of these people on your side when you actually are running your enterprise, because they are the force behind any person's success. So I think it is necessary that one should have patience and keep doing whatever they are doing, and they will find ways and means to grow out of that circle and so on. And if there is somebody who is really negative about all the things that we do, then I don't think they should be in our friend circle anymore, isn't it? Right? There should be some things that they encourage us to do. There should be some things which they discourage us to do, and we can't expect all our friends to be negative all the time. So one person at a time, one question at a time, one answer at a time is the path. And patience is really, really important for getting your family and friends on your side. So that's the first battle, I think, and that's the most important battle that you have to fight. And did I answer your question, Skanda? Or
any more question, participants? Okay. With this, we come to an end of our session. It was great to hear Sir speak about the career opportunities that are available in entrepreneurship, and just the way he described it, even for me, it was very inspiring to hear. So, on behalf of Seshadripuram Institute of Management Studies, I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Rajesh Chakravarthy, on taking his precious time out for consenting to be the guest speaker for today's session. Sir, indeed, your words have inspired all our participants today. I extend my sincere thanks even to the director, the teaching staff, and the non-teaching members. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for showing their interest in attending this session. I once again thank everyone in making this event a success. Tomorrow, sir will be back with us in order to host another session that is with respect to the product development phases at the same time, which is 11 a.m. The invite will be shared to you on your emails by email. Right? So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this. Thank you so much again, sir, for
enlightening all of our participants. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It was wonderful being here and sharing my thoughts with all of you. And thanks for those wonderful questions as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.